How's it going, everyone? Hope you're all keeping well, and welcome back to a new league racing video here in RTA for the start of a brand new season. If you missed the end of the IndyCar season, which I didn't have a video for round 8 at Barber, which is probably for the better because it didn't go too well, but the recording kind of messed up on me, so wasn't able to make a video out of that. But if you want to see any of the races from that season in the IndyCars, you can see them in the playlist in the top right. But moving ahead from that now, out of the open wheel high downforce cars, heading basically back to rookies for this season in the MX5 Mazda, and yeah, going to be very different. Not a lot of downforce or responsiveness in these compared to the IndyCars, so hopefully we can try and have some good results like we did last season. But as you can see here now, starting off qualifying here for round 1 at Okayama, and looking at the rest of the calendar, we move to Lime Rock Park, then Donington Park, Mid-Ohio, Silverstone at the National Circuit, then Virginia International Raceway, the Indy Circuit at Brands Hatch, and then rounding out the season at Mount Panorama, Bathurst. So going to be a good season, some good tracks there, and some which will definitely be tricky in these cars, but a lot of hopefully good racing to look forward to as we are in qualifying here now in Okayama in Japan, and hopefully we can get ourselves a good bit up the grid for race 1. If you're new to RTA and my channel, first of all, welcome, and very glad to have you here, and hopefully you stick around for the rest of the season and seasons after that. Well, taking a look at the format that we run here in RTA, starts out with a 15-minute open qualifying session. As you can see, it's not just myself out here on track, so at some of the races in some of the series, slipstream will be very important. And this qualifying sets the grid for race 1, which is 10 minutes long. Straight after that then into race 2, where the grid is set by the finishing order of race 1. That race is 15 minutes. And then finally race 3, 20 minutes, with the grid set from the finishing positions of race 2. The only difference being the top 8 are reversed. So if you finish 8th in race 2, you'll start race 3 from pole position. But for this one, currently in P8, as we're on not too bad of a lap there, but a bit of traffic up ahead kind of getting in the way. Didn't really know where people were going to be putting their cars, so a little bit impeded there, losing a bit of time. And now we're going to come across the line to finish another lap. 1.2 seconds down on my personal best, but
P9, that's your fastest lap.
Still a personal best for this session, keeps us in P9. Now as we round the final corner to finish what is going to be my final lap in qualifying, we're going to improve on that personal best time and set a 1:45.9, just dipping below the 1 minute 46s. So in the end, that time did put me in P9 on the grid, just over a second behind Ronan Doherty, taking the first pole position of the season by quite a margin over Robbie Callahan in P2, nearly half a second, just over 4/10. But honestly, a bit surprised with my qualifying. I didn't think I had great pace around here in these cars, so to be in the top 10 for the first race of the season is definitely a good surprise, and hopefully we can convert it to a good result to get our season off to a great start. So, standing start for this season from the rolling start in the IndyCar. As the lights go on, revs build up. As the lights go green, we drop the clutch and then drop the second stage of the clutch, and we get a pretty decent start. Not amazing, but not terrible. So we head into turn 1. On the outside, I was trying to just keep it wide, keep it clean, but somebody there diving it down the inside, and that allows Peter McCann to get past as well, and now we're side by side with CJ O'Sullivan as people running out onto the gravel, dust being kicked up everywhere, but everybody seems to survive for the time being, as we drop a couple of places on the opening turns of this first race. Into turn 4, then up ahead there's a bit of contact, somebody there off into the gravel as we're making our way down the long straight then. Excuse me, trying to stay in the slipstream of CJ, but there's a big crash ahead. That is, I think it was David Ward and Sean McGoldrick. Sean coming back onto the track there, and luckily we managed to avoid him and keep our race going. So opening lap of the season here, and already a few big crashes, and hopefully that's not a sign of things to come for this season, and if it is, hopefully I'm not involved with it. I think keeping it clean in a lot of these races will lead to some good results.
No damage to report.
As you can hear there, just confirming that I didn't get any damage from that crash on the back straight, because I did get, I think, a 2x or a 4x for that, so just making sure that I didn't actually make any contact and get any damage. So coming around the second to last corner then to finish the first lap of this season. Wasn't a great start, but managed to claw back a couple of positions from a few incidents up ahead, and we're going to finish lap 1 behind Dermot Toomey, who started in 4th. So Dermot seems to have a lot of pace in these cars. We're usually around the same from any of the other seasons I've done, but we move up 1 position from our starting place into P8. But in the mirror behind you can see Emma Dempsey. She also seems to have a good bit of pace in these, so going to be under pressure from her to hold on to this top 8 position as she gets a run through the kink of turn 3 and now into turn 4. She's having a look down the inside. I leave the space on the apex, trying to carry the speed around the outside, but just don't have the grip there just with the line, and there's a lot of gravel offline there, so didn't have the traction, and Emma managed to get that position. But now we are in the slipstream, and hopefully we can try and make a repass down into the hairpin of turn 5. Emma covers the inside line nicely, brakes nice and late, and manages to hold that position. So good move there by Emma, and hopefully we can try and re-challenge later in that race. But now right behind is Dylan McClemens, who was involved in one of those first lap incidents. So he's going to try and make his way through the field now. Dylan quick in pretty much anything that we race. Into the second hairpin, he sends it down the inside, bit of banging there, and now trying to re-challenge on the inside, but just make a big contact with the rear of Dylan and go for a half spin, losing a lot of time there, a couple of positions. At the time I wasn't very happy with that move by Dylan. I thought it was a bit aggressive, but looking back on it, it was a fair move, and yeah, entitled to go for it obviously, and he didn't make much contact, bit of door banging, which I quickly learned throughout these races is going to be the norm, as it usually is in sports cars. But after the fragile Indy cars of last season, kind of got a bit used to not kind of bumping into other cars when making passes, so just something to relearn and something to keep in mind for the remaining races and for the rest of this season. Moving on from that though, keeping our eyes forward, and we're after getting a good run on Ollie Meredith here down into the hairpin. He breaks a lot later than I do, or earlier than I do, so we send it down the inside and get that move done into P11. But then just a few corners later, we get a bit too aggressive on the throttle when the car wasn't stable. Go for another half spin in this race, and that allows Ollie to get the pass back, as well as Ronan Duffy getting past it. Luckily it doesn't take too long to catch back up to the rear of these two, and unfortunately for Ronan, who did get past Ollie on the pit straight, goes for a spin there in turn 4, and once again, just like on the previous lap, we get another good run on Ollie. This time we're even closer, getting a good slipstream, and we know that I can brake later than Ollie, so with the inside line into the turn 5 hairpin, just like the previous lap, braking late, getting the move done, and hopefully this time I can keep the car pointing in the right direction and stay ahead of Ollie. And did manage to do that, was a couple of heads of Ollie for the remainder of the race, but now on the last lap I made a couple of mistakes, and that's allowed Ollie to be right on our rear bumper. Defended there into that hairpin, as Ollie had a bit of a look down the inside, but luckily we had it covered as head through the final 2 corners now, flat out through the second last corner. Bit of a break for the last one, focusing on getting a good exit and staying ahead on the run to the line, which we managed to do, and we're going to finish race 1 in P11. So 2 positions lost from where we qualified in P9, down to 11th, 17 seconds of Ronan Doherty converting pole position to the race win. Robbie Callahan second to second, with Conor Melia making up a couple of spots to get onto the podium. But for myself, considering the few mistakes that I had, only losing 2 positions and getting a pretty decent result just outside the top 10, suppose I have to be happy with that, and hopefully we can polish out those mistakes for race 2 and make those 2 positions back, maybe a couple of more, and get into a reverse grid position for the final race. So getting ready to go here again at Okayama. Lights are on and the lights go out, and we get a very good start compared to CJ, pulling alongside and now pulling ahead before turn 1. Learned my lesson from race 1, don't really want to be on the outside, so taking a defensive kind of line through turn 1 and managed to hold that position from CJ, so making up 1 place already in this opening lap. Through turn 2 then, not as much gravel being kicked up this time, everybody taking it a bit cleaner. Turn 3 the kink and into the first really heavy braking zone of turn 4. Had a little bit of a look there on David Collier, wasn't really a look, I was just a bit caught out by the closing speed, so had a bit of a dive to the inside, as did CJ on myself having a bit of a look, and luckily for me we managed to hold him off. As up ahead now, David and Dermot going side by side into turn 5, Dermot braking a lot later and manages to hold that position, so unfortunately we weren't able to capitalise on a bit of a battle there and make up a position or 2. We skip it ahead to the end of lap 1 now, and we are right behind Dave and well within his slipstream, so pulled to the inside, trying to get a bit of a side draft and then into turn 1, braking a bit later, and with the inside line we are just about able to get ahead. Into turn 2 then on the outside line, we're not able to carry the speed unfortunately, and Dave holds on to that position. That battling has allowed CJ to get a run on me. We are going to cover the inside line into turn 4, and we managed to hold on for now. CJ trying to go around the outside here, and he's going to maybe guess we make a bit of contact actually, I forgot about that, but luckily we managed to just get ahead and get into the slipstream of Dave, so that we are able to stay ahead on the run down the longest straight on this track. Covering the inside line into the hairpin, CJ throwing it around the outside but not able to get it done, but he just has a bit of an overlap, so I have to leave a bit of space through this left-hander, and then through the second left-hander he is side by side with me, and just about managing to stay ahead for now, but once again for the hairpin he has the inside line, so he's going to brake late and manage to get the move done. Ollie just sends it in then, and that allows Sean McGoldrick to also get past. That was a very opportunistic move by Ollie, maybe just bordering on a punt to pass, and at this point I wasn't too happy with that move, and if I got a chance to overtake Ollie again, I was going to repay him with the same courtesy that he showed me with that move there. Down the straight now, Sean McGoldrick having a look on Ollie around the outside as CJ goes for a spin, so we get a move done there. And
the car in front of us is
yeah,
car number
get
23.
moved done there. Not much else to say, a bit of a mistake from CJ. You can see in the bottom right though, he managed to kept going.
22.
Sean and Ollie now going side by side through turn 3 into turn 4, and hopefully I can try and take advantage of this, but unfortunately I just brake a bit later than Sean. end up hitting into the back of him and send him for a spin. I get damaged myself, and worst of all is I did get a penalty for that collision. So minus 15 points on the first round of the season isn't great, and now we're under pressure from David Ward. He sends it down the inside of the turn 5 hairpin and gets that move done. But yeah, that incident with Brandon, not my finest moment. My braking point was probably 10 or 15 meters later than his, and at the same point I was expecting him to brake even later to try and go around the outside, and just got a bit caught out. 100% on me and deserved penalty. But now we move ahead, and Simon Hutchins go for a big dive down the inside of the hairpin, once again shown that in this race at least, I don't know if it'll be the same for the rest of the season, that just pushing the other cars out of the way seems to be the strat for getting a move done. And at the start of this race, obviously I wasn't really fully up to speed with the driving standards and racecraft of these cars, so after this one, definitely learn from it and will take the learnings into the rest of the season. But now we've all caught back up to Ollie and into the hairpin. Simon going for a move on him. I go defensive on CJ, who carries the speed around the outside, then into the next hairpin. He has the inside line. I leave enough space there, but once again, just understeering and pushing the car out of the way is the way to get the pass made. So when I see here that CJ is going to the outside of Ollie, I take it as my opportunity to go down the inside, get alongside CJ, and now we are just ahead. Hopefully we get the slipstream off of Ollie. Let's make a bit of door-to-door contact as I try and squeeze over so I get that toe. Now going to have the inside line for the turn 5 hairpin, and hope we can probably get this move done. Braking nice and late, taking the inside line, then on the exit just clearing out towards the apex to cut that off and get the move done. Now through the double left-hander on the exit, having a bit of a slide, nothing too bad, and now into the next hairpin. Taking an early apex to prevent that dive down the inside from CJ and holding on to the position. But that didn't last very long, because at the start of the very next lap, into turn 1, CJ understeers a bit, hits my rear quarter, kind of half sends me into a slide and gets the pass done. And to be honest, if that's not the definition of a punt to pass, I don't really know what is, because if I had gone for a full spin there and reported it, he probably would have got a penalty for causing a collision. But since I didn't go for a spin, and I'm only really realising that at the time of commentating this, it's grand and he gets the position. But it is what it is. Can only look forward from here now, take these learnings and do what I plan to do with them, with my racecraft and racing against some people for the rest of the season. But for this one, things are only going to go from bad to worse, as through this left-hander just carrying a bit too much speed, and we clip the wall there and then get sent into the other wall. I tried to stay out of the way there. I thought I was coming onto the track fairly safely, but the car coming behind seemed to just get a bit caught out by where my car was going slowly, or just decided not to avoid me. And you can hear there, the car is pretty much dead, and that is our race 2 pretty much over. So didn't manage to get back out for the end of that race. There wasn't a lot of time left. I think it was going on to the last lap. So we finished down in 21st, losing 10 places and 1 lap behind Ronan Doherty, taking 2 wins from 2 to start off this season. Dylan McClemens up in P2 and Evan Walsh in P3. Can see where Ollie and CJ finished there in 11th and 13th, Simon in 10th, and we were fighting with those lads throughout this race. So just shows that there was potential for a good result in this one. Unfortunately, things didn't work out that way, and we're going to have to try and work our way through the field for 20 minutes in this final race at Okayama. And as the lights go out for the final time here in Japan, we've already made up one place from somebody not taking the grid, and we are side by side with Philip Upson. Somebody there not having a great start, so we're past those as well. Into turn one, Dara Halley sending it in, and when I saw him disappearing from my view in the rear view mirror, I was expecting to just hear a bang next and him clattering into the side of me, but through turn two, somebody was after having a spin and bit blindsided by the cars ahead, and we can't do much to avoid it. Managed to make it back to the pits to get a fast repair, but as we leave our pit box, for some reason my pit limiter wasn't engaged when it was when I was going into the pits. So we sped in the pits, and we're going to get I think it's a 40-second stop go penalty. So after managing to stay on the lead lap by bringing the car back to the pits after the crash, and then being able to take advantage of any incidents that might happen coming out of the pits after serving our penalty, we are a lap down in P19, and with probably 3/4 of this race left at this stage, to be honest, I had no interest in doing the rest of it. Just cruising around now and going to try and pick up any free places that might come our way. And so far, a couple of laps later, not much has come our way. We've managed to stay with Philip Upson, who is in 12th, seem to have a bit better pace than him, so it just shows where the pace actually is around here. And I was staying behind, didn't want to get involved with a car who is a lap or 2 laps ahead, whatever he is, but he decides to let me go there, which just, I'm recording this after the next round at Lime Rock, and as I said, I was not going to try and interfere with unlapping myself, so just remember that is how I dealt with being a lapped car when it comes to the next race and certain people. But moving back to this one then, you saw there Dave Collier having a issue on the back straight. Looks like he might have been put into the wall by somebody, so maybe we can unlap ourselves from him and gain a position. And when we come on to the pit straight on the next lap, you can see in the bottom right, Keith Dempsey in the pits, David Collier 2 places up the road, 5 seconds ahead of us. So we made one position from, I presume it was that incident, it was Dave and Keith. Unfortunately, Dave managed to get back out of the pits ahead of us. And that was it pretty much for the rest of the race. Caught up to Ollie here, but again, not going to interfere with a car that's a lap ahead. And we're going to come across the line to finish race 3 of 3 in Okayama in 18th place.
P18, that's the end of the race. Never mind.
So yeah, 18th, a lap behind, and somehow still 3 places up from where I started, but still not a great result. Even if I had not had the drive through, probably wouldn't have been a lap down and could have finished in 12th place there ahead of Ronan Doherty, who wasn't able to make it 3 wins from 3. A bit of a disaster of a third race from him. Not sure what happened there. I presume some kind of incident. But it was Conor Melia then who won the race ahead of Peter McCann and David Ward rounding out the podium. And what that means for the standings then after the first round is Conor Melia leads the way, consistency proving key with a P3, P4 and race 1 here at round 1. Evan Walsh in second, and Ronan Doherty, even with 2 wins, that third race down in 12th place means that he is only in 3rd position. For myself, down in P22, just 7 points on the board. Got 22 in this round, but that 15-point penalty for the incident in race 2 dropping me down the order. But that is it for this video then, and the first round of the new MX5 season in RTA. An interesting opening round, lots of learning done, and a lot of things to work on and take into the opening rounds or the next few rounds. Next up is Lime Rock Park, a very interesting track, one I haven't driven at in a long time, probably since I was in rookies in the MX5. So it'll be interesting trying to learn that track again, especially in a car where I'm still trying to learn the ropes fully of this too. But thanks very much for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any videos for the rest of the season. But until the next one, thanks for watching and see you then.